by coming to this event, you may go in and say to yourself, I am only interested in the University of Michigan. And if I can't go to the University of Michigan, my life is over. But when you attend this event, you are going to be exposed to so much more than just that. Very easily, you may be swayed. You may hear something from one of the representatives that totally changes your mind or puts a program on your radar that you never considered.
I'm Caitlin, a former professional ballerina turned dance educator and career mentor, and this is the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I am here for the aspiring professional ballerina who wants to learn what it really takes to build a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. I'm peeling back the curtain of the professional dance world with open and honest conversations about the realities of becoming a professional dancer. Come along to gain the knowledge and inspiration you need to succeed in a dance career on your terms. Hello and welcome to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. I'm your host, Caitlin Sloan, and I am joined today by Lindsay Chirio-Humenay and Ann Bach-Marine to talk all about Eisenhower Dance Ensemble's annual event, See and Be Seen, which is a collegiate dance table talk and audition. But before we get into the events, could you each just give me a quick recap of your dance background and tell me about your current role at Eisenhower Dance Ensemble?
Sure. Thanks for having us, Caitlin. So I began as a dancer in the company a very long time ago. The company was founded in 1991 by artistic director Lori Eisenhower, hence the name. And I danced with the company for about 10 years, but was always interested in the administrative side of how a dance company operates. So early on, had kind of pestered Lori as to whether there were some opportunities for me in the office. And I began as her administrative assistant, moved into, managing tours for the company, became the founding director for our school that we opened in 1995. And then moved into other roles, director of operations, took a little bit of a break from the organization when my children were little. And when Lori retired and Stephanie Pizzo took over the company, who was a colleague of mine, we danced together back in the olden days, as we describe it. She took over as artistic director. The name changed to Eisenhower Dance Detroit. And then she reached out and said, hey, our executive director had to relocate to another state. Are you interested in coming back? And it was kind of the right time. So I've been executive director for the company since 2018.
Amazing. And thank you for correcting me, Eisenhower Dance Detroit, because I grew up actually in Rochester Hills, Michigan, and grew up seeing Eisenhower's performances, went to the summer intensive. And so that's a hard habit to break.
Oh, absolutely. And, and it was precipitated by the change in artistic leadership, but we wanted to hang on to the Eisenhower name because, legacy matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lindsay, can you share about your dance background?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in Michigan and dancing and doing gymnastics. I was a competitive gymnast and dancer for many years. And post high school, I decided to pursue a career in dance, graduated from Oakland University. And Eisenhower has a really unique partnership with Oakland University, where every season we have a student apprentice from Oakland. So during my senior year at OU, I was selected as the student apprentice for the company. And I had the unique experience of getting to perform for my very first time with the company at Spring to Dance in St. Louis before officially starting in the company as an apprentice. Then continued dancing with the company through finishing out my 5th year of school. It took me a little bit longer to get everything done while I was apprenticing. Had a really special graduation because I had to miss graduation to go on tour with the company. So the company did a really special graduation for me while we were on the road. And then in 2017, I had a hip injury and ended up needing surgery. And rather than taking a step out away from the organization, Stephanie and Lori thought that I could handle some administrative work. And so they were like, let's keep you busy while you are healing from this surgery. And I was like, okay, I don't really know what to expect. I had never really had any thought into arts administration. And they presented this opportunity, and I jumped in with 2 feet and didn't look back. I continued dancing once I healed from my surgery, but at that point, they offered me the position of company manager. And now I'm the director of operations. So I officially retired from the company, not by my own decision, but COVID made that decision for me in 2020. And now I have 3 beautiful babies, and it's been an amazing experience. And I love, the team that I work with.
If I can just give Lindsay the props that she deserves, because, she is the glue that binds our organization together as director of operations. And one of the things that Stephanie and I were particularly focused on making happen when we took over leadership together of the company was we named this initiative the Beyond the Stage Initiative. We wanted to give the dancers in the company the opportunity to develop skills off the stage that they could then either utilize when they're done performing with our own organization or with another organization. And Lindsay is one of those major success stories.
That's amazing. I love that. Let's transition into talking about the See and Be Seen program. So, can you share a little bit about what this program is and what inspired the creation of the program?
Maybe I can start with the initial development of it, and then Lindsay kind of took it and ran with it and made it something even bigger and better. It developed out of a conversation that I had with the chair of one of the dance departments here at a university in Michigan. And we were talking about how disconnected the universities were to the high school dance ecosystem, that recruitment was not easy. Also talking about how higher ed, even before COVID, things were changing, budgets were tightening in arts programs. And she was talking about how it was especially crucial for them to be able to connect and reach these high school dancers who might be interested in pursuing a college dance program. So that got the wheels turning, and we thought, well, maybe we can invite into our space a representative from each of the colleges in the state of Michigan that have a dance program and host a table talk and just kind of Q&A, talk about dance careers, how each of those college representatives got to where they were sitting in that room today, and giving an opportunity for the students and the parents to ask questions. That was pre-COVID. And then when COVID hit, we took the whole thing online and had some wonderful conversations and representatives talking about careers in dance and pathways to get there. And then post COVID, we wanted to expand the program. It keeps getting bigger, but the primary focus is for Eisenhower Dance Detroit to be that bridge, that connector between the high school dancer and dancer family and higher ed. So I'll let Lindsay take over from here, because it's really expanded to something extremely exciting and highly attended.
Yeah, definitely highly attended. We have very high expectations for what this event is going to bring in October. As Anne mentioned, that first in-person experience that we were able to offer, we were in our Birmingham space, and we had 2 studios in one location, and then you had to go outside and you had to walk to 2 other studios in the other location. And we made it work. We got great feedback. People were so pleased with the outcome, but really all we offered was the opportunity for the students to take 1 or 2 classes from the college representatives, and then have the opportunity to audition and then visit all of the college booths and ask questions. And the next year we were officially in our new beautiful 10,000 square foot facility. And we were like, all right, we have the capacity to do so much more with this. So not only did we increase the number of students that we were able to bring into this, but we were also very interested in how we could offer both the parents and the students this really lovely, all-encompassing experience where they were going to get just a little more background information so that especially the parents weren't going into this going, well, my kid wants to dance, but what are they going to do with that? Do they really have a career there? How long can they dance? What do they do after that? So we were able to really open their eyes to what existed. And over the years, we've continued to build on that. So now we have not only that careers and dance panel discussion, but we have a health and wellness panel discussion where we bring in professionals.
Yep. So we've got one of our board members is an orthopedic doctor with a specialty in athletics and dance, sits on a number of national dance boards. We do a session with him. We also have a clinical psychologist who comes in to talk about mental health. We also have another wellness practitioner who, alternative wellness therapies that our students can incorporate into their routine so that they can stay mentally focused and sharp and happy, and also physically keeping their instrument tuned. One of my favorite additions 2 years ago to this was our elevator pitch session. And this is where each of the college representatives has 2 minutes to share what makes their program stand out from the rest. And it is really interesting because, as I have discovered, and these are all colleagues that I've known for years, but it even gave me a greater insight into really each of these programs is different. Whether it's, this program has a study abroad component, or this program incorporates commercial dance, or this program is more focused on getting the dancers their education certifications that they can go and teach in the high schools, or this program is heavy into the triple threat dancer, jazz, ballet, and contemporary. So not only was it interesting for me, but of course it helped the students and the parents. And then having the college and career fair kind of exhibit hall, so to speak, it then gives the families an opportunity to speak directly with representatives, get all the information that they need in a one-stop shop. And the feedback that we got when we started out, we didn't really expect anyone from outside of Metro Detroit to really take advantage of the event, but we had people coming from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and Fort Wayne, Indiana, and last year out in New Jersey. And so people are starting to hear about it. And the fact that instead of taking a dozen different trips to different college campuses, they can go to one place, figure out which colleges they're really interested in based on what that program does, and then kind of hone their research or hone in on a handful.
Yeah. And then this year we're adding 3 additions to our panel discussions and workshops. So we're doing a workshop on what you need to know about the FAFSA. So applying for that financial aid and how we can assist the parents kind of through that process, or the students, because a lot of the times the parents maybe don't have the capacity to do that. So now it's being put into their students' lap. We're also doing a injury prevention workshop with Dr. Stephen Karaginas, our board member. And then we are partnering with the Ballet Scout. And so Robert Fulton, one of the co-founders, is going to be doing a workshop on success and best practices for the audition process. So that is another exciting addition. Anne and I spent quite a bit of time yesterday, very thoughtfully trying to massage and lay out this schedule so that there is just a really beautiful flow through the 2 days. And that's the other part of the expansion. It used to only be a 1-day event, and now we have expanded it to be a 2-day event. And we're bringing in universities from outside of Michigan, which is very exciting.
I think this is amazing. I feel like as a young dancer, I would have loved this kind of events. It's hard, even if you're looking at universities in Michigan, there's so many options, and just traveling around, it's expensive, it's time consuming. Dancers are already so busy. It's a great event. Let's quickly pause this episode so I can share with you one of my favorite snacks that I have been loving lately. As a busy dancer, educator, and mom, I am always looking for a snack that I can throw into my dance bag that will be quick, convenient, and provide lasting energy. That's why I was so excited to find Aloha protein bars. Aloha bars give me everything I need. With 14 grams of plant based protein and 10 grams of fiber, I can count on this snack to keep me going. Plus, they are delicious. My favorite flavors are the coconut chocolate almond and the lemon cashew. But honestly, you cannot go wrong. These products are vegan, gluten free, and certified organic. And the best news is you can get 20% off your first order with code BrainyBallerina. Head to the show notes and click the link to try Aloha protein bars for yourself today. Can you share what ways you think your event might differ from other collegiate dance events out there?
Well, I think one of the things that sets ours apart is just the panel discussions and the different workshops that we're providing. So the students get an opportunity to take class. Each of the college reps is teaching a class. They do get the audition experience like they do, in other similar programs, placement audition. But I think the approach for ours is to try to provide information and education to the entire family. So it's the dancer, but it's also those parents, particularly parents of, a first time potentially collegiate dancer who are going, oh my gosh, I don't understand this ecosystem. I don't know this territory that they're diving into. All I know are the things that cause me concern. And so I've noticed, in the panel discussion, the careers in dance panel discussion that I've participated in over the years, that the parents leave with a lighter expression on their face than when they walk into that session. Because I think the artists that we have on the panel do a really good job of explaining that, there's no price tag that can be placed on passionately loving what you do. Of course, we want every artist to be compensated and paid for what they're worth. That goes without saying. But to be able to wake up every morning and look forward to your day and look forward to the other artists that you're working with and the work that you're creating, I mean, that's incredibly valuable. And so that we talk about the definition of success, and a lot of parents, and I know mine included, tied success to financial compensation. But success and happiness go hand in hand and are defined differently by each individual. And I think the parents really started to understand when they see the passion of the artists on the panel that, you know what, we've done it. We're here. We're earning paychecks doing what we know and love. And we really enjoy getting to work in the morning.
Yeah, I think there is this conception that as a dancer, you'll always be a starving artist. And for a parent, obviously, you want your kids to be comfortable. You don't want them to be struggling all the time. And so to see working artists and realize, oh, this is a legitimate career path that my kid could actually do. It's not just a pipe dream. Like, this is a real thing. That's huge for a parent.
Oh, absolutely. I have two kids in college right now. So I completely understand the cares, the concerns that the parents have. But we're also not the only field, I guess, career path that parents could have reservations about. We talk about the fact, especially last year in particular, in the panel discussion on careers, that AI is changing the landscape of what work means and redefining jobs and entire industries of work. And one thing we know for sure is that the dancer is never going to be replaced on stage by AI. You need a human body on stage in order to accomplish the work. Now AI might be integrated in innovative and interesting ways, but you still need the dancer. So there's job security in the AI
Mhm.
age.
Yes. Can you describe the typical experience for a student who is attending the event? What should they expect when they arrive the first day, when they walk in the door?
I would assume that's a Lindsay question for sure, the logistical magician over here. Like I said, Ann and I spent a lot of time really massaging this schedule. On that Saturday, the dancers will arrive with their families. They will get checked in. They'll get assigned a number that will live with them through the next 2 days. They'll keep that number on. Then we immediately kick off the entire event with that elevator pitch, so that each of the universities is able to give a little bit of background on who they are, what they offer. And while the parents and students are sitting and listening, they're able to go, all right, these are the places that I really have that interest in talking to, visiting the booth, going to take class with this person kind of thing. And then we jump into classes. So we have a 45-minute class that they'll go into. The dancers will be split into separate studios. We have 4 beautiful spaces. Then we'll take a little short break for the first group of students to go into their audition process. And in the meantime, the opposite group is going to be with their families in that careers in dance panel discussion. And then the booths will stay open for the rest of the day. And we'll have a health and wellness workshop. We'll have a few more classes offered throughout the evening. And then on Sunday, the dancers arrive in the morning. They start out with the parents attending that FAFSA workshop, or the students if they want to, and going to that success and best practices workshop call, because that one will be over Zoom. And then we take a short break. They have some more classes that they can go into. And during classes, now we have a parent nugget session, which is what we're calling it for now. And it's just little pieces of helpful information for these parents to ease their minds through this process. And then we set up for that second group to do their audition, and we flip-flop. So whoever is doing the audition, the opposite group will be listening to that careers and dance panel discussion. We are also considering potentially hosting a mock audition session for any students that are younger than that senior age, because we are very focused on those dancers that are going to be graduating this upcoming year, but we don't want to completely close off the opportunity to younger students. And we finish up the day with some classes and our injury prevention workshop.
If I could just jump in and share a little bit more about the parent nugget, because this is a piece that I particularly like, where we share with parents why their dancer should take certain things into consideration. They and their dancer should take certain things into consideration as they embark on the college experience. So what is the campus culture like? As a dancer, you're going to be in rehearsal for hours on end. Your experience is going to look different than a traditional academic major. How are you going to navigate that? Do you want to attend a school where the social aspect is a really big component of campus life? And are you going to feel left out if you can't attend every event that your friends are attending who are not dancers? We talk about housing, and selecting roommates, and we talk about dining plans, and making sure that when you go to the colleges, you check out the dining hall and you have a meal there, and you talk about your body as your instrument as a dancer. And so the choices that you make regarding the college that you're going to go to, there's other things to take into consideration besides just what's going on inside the dance department. So I enjoy the parent nugget conversations.
Let's pause this episode so I can tell you about one of my favorite resources for dancers, Ballet Help Desk. If you've been loving the Brainy Ballerina podcast, you'll want to add the Ballet Help Desk pod to your list. This is the premier podcast for dance parents, and hosts Brett and Jenny share weekly expert insights on supporting your students' ballet education. They cover key topics like summer intensives, ballet competitions, full-time and post-grad training, health and wellness, boys in ballet, and more to help your dancer make the most informed decisions about their unique training path. Another one of my favorite resources from Ballet Help Desk is their reviews. Head to their website for over 1,400 reviews on summer intensives and year-round training programs. And while you're at it, submit your review to help other dancers and their families make important decisions about their future. The more transparency in the dance world, the better. Head to the show notes to visit the Ballet Help Desk website today. Yeah, and one thing that I think is really cool about this conversation right now is that all 3 of us received college dance degrees from different universities in Michigan. I went to Grand Valley, and I know you went to Western, and Lindsay, you were at Oakland. So I'd love to hear more about your own personal experiences in a college dance program and how you think that prepared you for a professional career.
Do you want to start, Linz?
Sure. I mean, I think I did have a unique experience in that the professors that I was working with at Oakland, Lori Eisenhower, founding artistic director of the company, Stephanie Pizzo at the time was the assistant artistic director. Those are the people that were teaching me. I had Greg Patterson, who was a founding member of the company. I had Christina Tasco, who danced with the company and is now our finance manager, has served in many other roles. Mary Devitt, who was in the company at the time teaching me. I had just a lot of influence by Eisenhower to like prepare me to move into that professional career in Eisenhower. So I think having that tie to the university was really special and not something that I even acknowledged or understood going in as a freshman. I really had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I wish I would have attended an event similar to this, like you said, Caitlin. It would have just given me so much more insight into what to expect. But my experience at Oakland, I am a homebody, so like that was kind of the perfect balance for me. It was not a campus that at the time, it has evolved quite a bit now, but at the time it was not like everybody stays around for the weekend and goes out. Pretty much everybody by Friday was packing up and going home because it was a commuter school, even if you lived on campus for a good majority of us. So I was still able to like have that comfort of being close to home. And then, like I said, it was so unique being trained by the company that I then moved into.
Mm-hmm.
So, my pathway, my family was the epitome of the family who needed see and be seen. Maybe that's why it evolved to something that would have really served me well back in the day. I was the oldest of four kids. My parents were just embarking on the whole college experience for the first time. I was fortunate to get a full ride academic scholarship to Western. And so that's where I ended up because for my family, it was a matter of you're going to go where the money is. We had no idea whatsoever about anything related to receiving a BFA in dance. I think my dad in particular was shocked that there were even dance programs at colleges and universities, let alone understanding the nuanced differences between any of those programs. So by divine intervention, I ended up at Western, which it was a phenomenal experience for me. I mean, I just felt at home in that dance department. I loved the campus. At that time, I was living in a small northern Michigan community, and so felt like Kalamazoo was moving to the big city. And the campus was large, but the dance department felt intimate and small and very connected. I felt like the faculty were very invested with the students. I had tremendously wonderful experiences, performance experiences, and guest artists that I was able to work with there. And, I'm just grateful that that's where I ended up because it was the only place that was on my radar because of the scholarship that I was offered. But I really can't say enough good things about the experience that I had there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, all the things you talked about earlier with the parent nuggets, a lot of that went into my decision to attend Grand Valley because I went to the audition. I loved the class. I love that it was really, at the time, it was a very strong ballet program. I think it's since shifted to be a more well-rounded program. Not that it wasn't well-rounded at the time, but it was like very ballet based when I started. And I really liked that. And I didn't want to leave the state. I wanted to stay in Michigan, so I thought that was a great fit. And I had a unique experience there because I was in college for 3 years. I graduated in 3 years. And in that time, I had 3 different department heads. Every single year I was there, it changed, which was very wild. Just happened to be that was my timeline. And I started with Jefferson Baum, who was ballet from New York City Ballet. And then my second year, our director was more Graham based, but also jazz. And then Lisa Catrette Belrose. And then the next year, we had a new director, Shanti Weipel, who was very modern, more like release technique sort of modern, not as even like structured as more of a Graham basis. So like my training completely changed. At the time, I remember thinking, oh, I'm a little bit frustrated that I came here for more about ballet base and it's really shifted. But then going into my career, I ended up falling in love with contemporary ballet and dancing in a contemporary ballet company for 7 years and realized, oh, if I hadn't had that, I don't think I would have been prepared for this pathway that I fell in love with. So it all kind of worked out like how it maybe was supposed to. At the time as a younger dancer, I couldn't really see that. But also like just going to campus, I loved the campus. I stepped foot there and was like, this is a gorgeous campus. I love the dorms. I love the dining hall. I love the performing arts center. Like all of it just felt at home for me. And I think that's something for dancers, like you said, with the parent nuggets to take into consideration is like you are spending most of your time in the studios, but you're also going to have a life outside. So, what is the campus life like? Like, could you see yourself in that environment as well? Because you have to have those other things so you don't get burnt out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the college piece, just in general, as opposed to going into an apprentice training program with a professional company right out of high school, everyone chooses the path that makes the most sense for them. But, for us, we wanted to provide an opportunity for those families and those students who felt that receiving that college degree was important for them long term. There's a whole host of skills that you develop going through any college program that will serve you well through life. And dancers, we know about discipline, we know about collaboration, we know a lot of those soft skills, so to speak, that we developed through our training as dancers helps us to be successful in college. But then college adds a whole nother layer of skills that allow you to then be even more successful in your dance career. For Lindsay and I, we're probably a good example of being able to leverage that college education and those skills to be functioning in an administrative capacity with the dance company.
Yeah. Could you share what has been the most rewarding part of directing this program for you personally? What have you really gotten out of it?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, as Anne mentioned, like the look on the students and the parents' faces when they come in and they're like deer in the headlights. And then by the end of the day, when they're leaving, and just like the pure relaxation and joy that you can sense in them, or excitement, like that buzz that ends up just kind of hovering in the space at the end of the day. Like that really is to me what it's all about. And obviously, I enjoy as director of operations, but also just as like part of our mission and personality. Like, I love feedback because I want to do better. That is our mission, and our goal is I want to listen to what you say, and I want to do everything in our power to make it the best possible experience overall. What did we miss? What can we include that is going to make your experience that much better? Or what is something that maybe you found not as valuable, and maybe it's something that needs to just kind of be eliminated from the program, not only from the perspective of the parents and the students, but also from the perspective of the programs that we're bringing in. We have made significant adjustments over the years listening to that feedback, and it's always exciting the following year when they return and they're like, wow, this part of it went so much better. Or, wow, this really got my gears turning. And I think it would be great if we could also do this. So for me, I think that is the most rewarding part of it. I enjoy the constant improvement.
Yeah, I would say two things. One, particularly because I'm currently a parent of college students, I enjoy being able to answer the parents' questions, maybe put them at ease a little bit and let them know that their child's going to be okay. Even if they start out as a dance major and shift to mechanical engineering, they're going to be okay. And that the parent themselves will be okay. At the end of the day, they're going to land where they need to be. and they're going to flourish because of the people that they are. That these parents have raised good human beings who are capable. We're there just to provide the information to help them get from point A to point B. But I had a parent reach out to me just a few weeks ago who attended our event last year. And so the student is currently a freshman at a Michigan dance program, Michigan University dance program. And she said, I want to share this with you because this is what my daughter just created. And her daughter created, as a dancer, a documentary about the underrepresentation of women in leadership roles in dance companies, especially considering that women are the majority in the dance ecosystem. And I went, wow, that's the kind of feedback that makes us sit back and go, okay, she's making a mark. She's a freshman in college and she's already making a mark. She created this documentary. Of course, there's a lot of dancing in the documentary as well. It lives on YouTube. Anyone can go and see it. Those are the things that I don't think anyone recognized that she had that drive and that capacity to create something that remarkable right out of the gate. Hearing that was fantastic. And she did a good job with the documentary
Yeah,
too.
that's amazing. I think that is one thing that I see for dancers graduating from college is that it really helps you hone that critical thinking muscle that you don't always get if you don't go through the college dance program. Obviously, there's so many different pathways. Everyone finds their own pathway, but that is one thing that your college program is really going to help get you thinking in a more critical way and having those conversations and doing those kinds of projects that you might not do in like a trainee program or something like that. So I think for a lot of dancers, like you said, if you're thinking beyond even your dancing years and where you might see yourself beyond the stage, if you want to stay within this industry, those are skills that you're going to pick up in a college dance program.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, a case in point, look at what you're doing today. Dancers are creative people and we're creative problem solvers, and it's ingrained in our beings. When we're done dancing, there's still a lot of opportunity within, I keep referring to as the dance ecosystem, but there's a lot that can be done even after we're finished on the stage. And I think that's what the parents need to hear, because they see these short windows of time for their son or daughter to be performing, and then they go, okay, what next? And we're there to tell them there's a lot of opportunity for what next can be.
Yeah, and you're not going to know when you're starting out what it's going to be. I never would have thought that I would have been an entrepreneur or started a podcast or any of these things that I've done now. And if you had told me that 15 years ago when I was graduating college, I would have probably laughed because I hate public speaking. Or I used to. At the time, I hated it. Now I love it. But like, there's all these things that you evolve as a person. And so I feel like when you're looking at a young person graduating high school and you're barely an adult, you're just starting out. And so there's so much you can do. And what you're doing is so important, like you said, to give everyone just that peace of mind that like, it's going to be okay. This is a viable path. And let's just explore it together in a nice environment where we're giving you the tools you need to explore it effectively.
Right. Because not everyone gets the opportunity to follow their dream. And if we can help someone start that journey, that's the reason why we're here. And everyone pivots at different times in their lives. Very few of us can be Martha Graham dancing into our 80s, but giving the families that sense of it's okay to follow the dream. You're not going to end up in a cardboard box living on a street corner,
Yep. Last question I have. I would love to hear what advice you would give to a dancer who's considering attending this event. How can they get the most out of it? How can they be the most successful if they come to see and be seen?
In general, by coming to this event, you may go in and say to yourself, I am only interested in the University of Michigan. And if I can't go to the University of Michigan, my life is over. But when you attend this event, you are going to be exposed to so much more than just that. Very easily, you may be swayed. You may hear something from one of the representatives that totally changes your mind or puts a program on your radar that you never considered. Just by being at the event, it's also just a beautiful and unique networking and connecting opportunity between the dancers, between the families, because they're all going through the exact same thing, and between the students and the families and the universities to have that. There's nothing stronger than having that face-to-face connection of meeting someone and just starting to build that relationship, even if it's a 2-minute conversation stopping at a booth. That is a conversation and a memory and is going to assist you in future networking. It might be 10 years down the road, you're applying for a job and maybe the person that you spoke to at the booth is the same person that is now interviewing you. You never know. So building those connections, I think it's going to happen organically just by being in the room.
I love that. And I love that you said that analogy of, like you think this is the school of this or bust. And I say this to dancers all the time because you can get so stuck in that idea of this is what I have to do or else I failed. If dancers like, I really want to dance for this company. I'm like, well, what do you like about that company? Like, do you like the size? Do you like the rep? Do you like the location? Like, what is it? Because I guarantee you there's 10 other companies that you would also like that have similar vibes, So having that openness of like, and being able to think critically again about what is it you really like about University of Michigan? Is it because it's the most prestigious in your mind, or is it because of these things that it can offer, and where else could you find that? And having one place to go and figure that out is huge.
It's huge.
Well, and I think we try to do the heavy lifting for the students so that they don't have to really come prepared at all, other than their personal dance skill set. We guide them through the audition process, the meeting the reps. There's not a lot of pre-work that has to be done. They just have to show up and they're going to leave with a ton of information.
Amazing. Okay, so give us the details. If a dancer wants to come to the events, what are the dates? How can they register? All of the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, so we will be launching our registration on June 1st for high school seniors only to start. And the event is taking place October 11th and 12th, and it will be at our studios in Bloomfield Hills, Eisenhower Dance Detroit.
Amazing. We'll put that in the show notes for any dancer listening or parent listening who is curious to learn more. And thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time today to share about the program. I'm really excited about what you're doing, and I just am happy we had this conversation.
Oh, thanks so much for having us. We really enjoyed talking with you, Caitlin, and thank you for the service that you're providing to the dance community as well.
Yeah, of course.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to the Brainy Ballerina podcast. If you found this episode insightful, entertaining, or maybe a bit of both, I would so appreciate you taking a moment to leave a rating and hit subscribe. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll join our community of dancers passionate about building a smart and sustainable career in the dance industry. Plus, your ratings help others discover the show too. I'll be back with a new episode next week. In the meantime, be sure to follow along on Instagram at The Brainy Ballerina for your daily dose of dance career guidance.